Right then, the Sea Eagles, and a thrill for a young Sea Eagles supporter, 9-year-old Jamie Porra leading this side out today. The skipper for the Manly side is Jeff Tuvey, and the Sea Eagles side on the back of what was the most outstanding performance of the year last Monday against the Roosters. Their lineup: Matthew Ridge, Danny Moore, Craig Innes, Terry Hill, Jack Elsgood, the halves Cliff Lyons and Tuvey. The best back row in the business: Nick Kosef, Daniel Gartner and Steve Menzies. And their front row: Mark Carroll, Jim Sedaris and Owen Cunningham. Their coach is Bob Fulton. Matthew Ridge, bag full of points on Monday night against the Roosters. And Cliff Lyons, again, set to wreak havoc with the Newcastle defence. Likewise can be said of that man on screen, Stephen Menzies. But the entire back row for Manly was outstanding on Monday night. Daniel Gartner was our player of the match. And Mark Carroll. Well, that's how well they're going. Even big Mark Carroll got on the scorer's sheet on Monday night. Now the Newcastle players. Surprise in the Newcastle lineup. Won the appearance of Andrew Johns. You'll have to keep your eye out for that. The change they've been forced to make today with Darren Tracy in the centres. And now the Newcastle Knights with a chief, Paul Harrigan. And I draw your attention to Andrew Johns. He will catch you by surprise. This Newcastle side forced to make a late change today. That is Andrew Johns like we have never seen before. I don't know what to say in reaction to the new look Andrew Johns. The Newcastle lineup: young Matthew Gidley back to fullback, Robbie O'Davis out, Brett Grogan, Darren Tracy appears in the centres, Jamie Ainscough, Keith Beecham, the halves, the Johns brothers, the forwards: Glanville, Muir, Marquette, Harrigan, Jackson and Butterfield. Malcolm really is the coach of the Newcastle Knights. Steve Roach on the sideline. Can you help us at all on the new look Andrew Johns?
I think he might be a fatty lookalike. They might send something in, but look, if Newcastle have any chance of winning this game, they have to match it with Manly and the forwards. Look, I'll stand in the rain all day long if I see the clash between Harrigan and Carroll, as it was the last time they met. Newcastle rely on the Johns boys, but the weather has really brought it pretty even, I reckon. This will be a great match.
And Paul McBlain, the man in charge. Manly running from left to right. Matthew Ridge is the man who has us underway. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fair deal of aggression in the start of this match as Mark Glanville is the first player in possession, just short of the 20.
Well, I don't care what anyone says. I think Andrew Johns looked outstanding. He's never looked better.
Yeah, word ridiculous comes to my mind. But Paul Marquette takes it up the left side of the ruck. Pretty good run there, taken low by Daniel Gartner. Now Butterfield goes centre field, and the ball will go back to Andrew Johns shortly. And I've got to say, I am fairly speechless over this.
Well, it might well start a trend, and Johns is the man with a kick.
Bet you it doesn't.
Certainly stands out. Matthew Ridge comes back for the Sea Eagles. Elsgood was standing for a while. Ridge was trying to bring him into the play. He eventually did that, just short of the 40. And Sedaris away for Hill. First man up, missed the tackle. That was Beecham. One thing Manly excelled at last Monday night, and probably was the most pertinent point in the victory, was the fact that they had so many offloads against what has been a very good defensive line in the Roosters. Now Sedaris for Gartner. Harrigan, Gartner slipped. Doing an awkward tackle from Harrigan as it turned out. Sedaris away now, Kosef. Johns is driving low, Tracy over the top and almost over the sideline. So Manly on the last tackle, just inside the Newcastle half. With Matthew Ridge. It's a good first up kick, although the bounce is a little unkind. We'll come back to the 20 for the restart.
Well, Matthew Ridge put the kick in, but there was plenty of space out wide. They had some numbers, so no doubt Bob Fulton will spot that and send the message out to maybe look for the kick on the run the ball on the fifth tackle very soon.
And there's a breakdown there. It was a forward ball to Marquette. And Manly will have the scrum feed here. Got a feeling if he caught the ball, it may have been called deliberately forward. Just watch it again from Lee Jackson. Well, I've got no doubt it was deliberately forward.
And no doubt that Marquette was supposed to be the decoy runner. He wasn't expecting the football, and unforgivable there from a dummy half of the quality of Lee Jackson. Throw the ball that far forward. Manly now feed and win the scrum. 28 out, Tuvey across field, goes centre field. Glanville, along with Matthew Johns, make the tackle.
Now Lions, Kosef, quickly on for Gartner. Inside the Knights 20. An early chance for Manly points. Just past the 2.5-minute mark. And now Sidaris causing problems already. Glanville again made the tackle. 5 metres out, Lions. He spreads wider for Tuvey. Now for Menzies out in the centres. Ainscough was pushed out of the play. Ellsgood off the right foot, then beats two and scores. But I'm sure the replay will show that Ainscough was pushed out of the defensive line, but Ellsgood gets the 4-pointer.
Well, it was great finishing from Jack Ellsgood, reminiscent of what he did at Illawarra a couple of weeks ago. But Andrew's spot on here. They had numbers, with Jamie Ainscough in the line. As we freeze play there, just watch this Newcastle player as the ball comes out to Menzies. Play continues. We see Jamie Ainscough ending up on the ground. Still had plenty to do, Ellsgood, stepping back inside 2 and 3 defenders.
Yeah, Ainscough, I don't know, he hardly touched him, Terry Hill. He was blowing up to the touch judge. It's just half a nick, and he went down, no doubt about it. And there was the gap for Menzies to run to, and no chance for Beecham to stop that. Did pretty well too, Ellsgood. He still had some work to do. He beat both the Johns boys in getting to the try line, and that's no mean feat.
Well, he's got a try a couple of weeks ago, which was as good as that one, but his finishing has allowed him to come into the top grade here. Of course, John Hopewate in reserve grade, the conversion attempt, well, that's no surprise.
So Matthew Ridge has turned 4 into 6, and Manly, they're flying high already. 6-0 over the Knights. Welcome back to Brookvale, and Andrew Johns, a deep kick-off. Close to going dead in goal, but it's Craig Innes. With the leading try scorers in the competition, and a great addition to the Sea Eagles ranks this year. Now Tuvey. Tuvey ran into a shoulder from Jamie Ainscough. With Mark Carroll for Manly, just outside their own 20. That early try certainly not in the game plan of Newcastle, now lost by Cunningham. So been a couple of errors, batted back there by Jackson. No one can clean up. Now Sidaris is off on a gallop, but will come back for the first knock-on from Owen Cunningham.
Well, a couple of mistakes early in the match. It's a bruising encounter. We saw Marquette, that mistake he made down there with Jackson cost Newcastle 6 points. I'm just wondering if this mistake from AJ wasn't a great pass, might cost Manly.
Newcastle with his scrum. Interesting to note that Darren Tracy, in fact, is out on the wing from this scrum, outside of Grogan, now with Matthew Johns, and Johns a little dummy. Tackled by Matthew Ridge. 15 out from the line. From dummy half is Matthew Gidley. A whole lot doing there. And the defence is regrouped with Harrigan. Trying to crash his way through the centre and dropped it in being tackled. So after only just 3 tackles, Manly will now have a scrum feed and a bit of push and shove between Carroll and Harrigan.
Well, excellent defence here, low from Jim Sidaris, across the top from Owen Cunningham. In fact, it was the Cunningham arm which helped the ball come out in attempting to make the tackle. And Mark Carroll, he'd have got great delight out of seeing a mistake from his opponent. Both players now being called out. McLean just trying to defuse. Could be a possible situation. In fact, Jim Sidaris is being spoken to as well.
Well, it was a real clash of the Titans. They met at Marathon Stadium last year. A collision of gigantic proportions as now Manly attack with Lions and pushed off balance by Ainscough and in fact over the sideline.
Yeah, it was a big hit by Ainscough, and Cliff was felled about 4 metres in from touch, but slid right over the touchline.
Well, it's an enormous responsibility on Jamie Ainscough in this game. He's not having the impact the Newcastle fans and team would like just at the present moment. And of course, with Darren Tracy, a rookie in the centres, he's got to take on a little bit of extra responsibility on his shoulders as well. Johns feeds and wins the scrum 19 out.
For his brother Matthew. Now Ainscough. Gidley runs an angle on the inside, but the Manly defence is there. Ridge was the tackler. Now Matthew Johns. Bit of fancy stepping. Cry for a shepherd from the Manly fans as Marquette's the player wrapped up 15 metres out from the Manly line. Now for Butterfield. His first touch. And some strong arm defence from the Manly side. Cunningham, also Gartner there. Now Matthew Johns coming straight at the Manly posts. Over the top was Mark Carroll. They're getting a little closer, down by 6 points to 0. Johns kicks back to the right. Matthew Johns, is he onside? No.
He's 20 metres offside. You see here, Matthew Johns actually plays the football. Andrew Johns, whether there's a breakdown here, or he may have been kicking for Jamie Ainscough again, but he's put the angle back way towards the post, and there, Matthew Johns, he's only run 2 metres to get the ball.
So back with the Seagulls. 10 inside their own half. Kosef. Swarming Newcastle defence on Nick Kosef. Sinaris for Cunningham. Just down to 12 at the moment. Matthew Ridge getting some attention back near his own goal line. Sadaris on for Tuvey. It's nothing more than boot trouble though for Matthew Ridge. So Manly, Kosef, wider for Innes.
Go away, Knights, go away, Knights.
Now 5 tackles up, 35 out from the Newcastle line. Lions, that has ricocheted off a Newcastle leg, and Lions in turn knocked on. So Newcastle should have the changeover. It was not played at by a Knights player. Actually ran up the back of Lee Jackson. Change of boots is the story on Matthew Ridge. Knights now with Muir. Short of halfway. That's head-to-head. Manly decided advantage, and in fact all 5 matches here at Brookvale since '88, the entry year for Newcastle into the competition, it's resulted in Manly wins here. Now Andrew Johns. That kick over the top of Els. Good as it's too big, it certainly is. It's big by some 3 or 4 metres over the sideline. Most unlike Andrew Johns. Stunned by the look of Andrew Johns. Takes a little while to get used to.
Well, it's obviously a bet he's lost, and one that, have a look, I'm sure that he wished he'd won. As Innes tries to get on the outside of Tracy. Good tackle there from Matthew Gidley. I just wonder if those things, put your mind elsewhere. Also, I know it's only a little thing, but it's attracted plenty of attention. And he's got his mind fully on the job for the Knights.
Now Sadaris for Carroll. Feeds on for Gartner, straight past Adam Muir. Cliff Lyons, that was knocked down, I thought, by Ainscough. Well, he's ruled the knock on against Cliffy Lyons.
It looked like Manly 6 again. Brushed through a tackle, Daniel Gartner, offloaded. I just wonder whether Ainscough did get a touch before or after it came out of Lyons' grasp.
It's on the blind side of the scrum, but certainly no holes there. Missed tackles creeping up high already for the Knights. Now Beecham. Down by Terry Hill. Jackson. Overrun there by Harrigan, and Jackson goes crossfield. Links up Marquette. Well, it's come off his thigh, if anything. I don't think he got a mid on it.
That's just terrible football there from Newcastle. First of all, the Chief overran the ball, and he just drifts across the field. Jackson looking for some runners. No one wants to run onto it. And Marquette, well, he half-by didn't expect it.
But that's the thing with Paul Marquette. He does go through a lot of times as a decoy, but you've got to expect the football on every occasion. As Terry Hill, a little bit of a chance here on the outside. Good cover defence once again. Mark Glanville from the scrum base.
Yeah, half a chance shut down by Glanville, but Tuvey wants to sneak down that blind. So the full width of the field to work with. Gartner across with Lyons. Long ball from Lyons for Menzies. On the Newcastle 30, Stephen Menzies. Johns and Tracy, the tacklers. Now 25 out, Sedaris. He's really enjoying his football at the moment. Jim Sedaris, best game since linking up with Manly was last Monday night. It was dummy half running was his feature. Kosev angles inside, Cunningham, then offloads Manly, just a metre out from the line. Stephen Menzies, the player at the end of that exchange of passing. Now Ridge, last tackle, Lions. There's plenty of support, Lions. The pass has been knocked down, and Newcastle back with it. But the referee is going back to the opposite side of the park.
I think you'll find on the play before, there was a Manly player taken out. It might have been Cunningham in a set play, and McBlain has obviously played the advantage. Here it is here. Well, it's actually Carroll taken out by Harrigan. Now from this, he's let play go on, another tackle, and decided to pull up when Manly couldn't score a try. So it's a big advantage played there for the Manly side.
Some sides would contemplate the quick tap, certainly not Manly with Matthew Ridge in their ranks. He will make this 8-0. Steve Roach on the sideline.
The Newcastle side not as desperate as I thought they'd be in this match early. There's no talk at the moment, and even from turnovers from Manly, and they've given them a few, they're just taking 2 or 3 rucks to get going, where their forwards have to get back and run onto this football and try and make the yardage.
What about the battle blocker between Carroll and Harrigan early? I guess on conceding that penalty, the early points are with Mark Carroll.
Yeah, it's been a good clash so far. They've only come together a couple of times. They're just trying to sort each other out. I'm sure as the game goes on, they'll just keep going at each other. There's a bit of a duel going on.
So Ridge just to the left-hand side of the uprights. Just under 14 minutes gone. And Ridge just under 90% success rate, but there is another. 2 from 2 for Matthew Ridge. And Manly in the wet conditions lead by 8 points to 0.
And I think for Newcastle to be successful in this game, it was important they got away to a good start and put first points on board. 13 minutes now, 8 in arrears already. And the confidence factor, it can't be high because they've made a lot of elementary mistakes. Mark Carroll now from the offload from Matthew Ridge. Good run back to Lee Jackson. He's tackled centre field, 18 out from his own line.
No surprise that it was Harrigan who came over the top. Now Sedaris, fend away from the Chief. And then tackle just over the 20. You really do have to have a study of the table to realise just how crucial this match is to the Newcastle Knights. Not just losing touch with the top 4, but they're in danger of dropping out of the top 8. Kosev, that's the table. Manly on 28, Newcastle 19.
But of course on the table, Canberra, West and St George are all on 17 points going into this round of football. Here's a penalty. Thought that one could have been an advantage played. Jeff Tuvey scooted up the middle and found open space. And those 3 teams I've mentioned were favoured to win this weekend. Lee Jackson taking off before acceptances. Butterfield went the same way. Should have been called play on.
Carroll gets another crack and then offloads for Danny Moore. 40 out, centre field. Newcastle into the park with Gartner. Just losing confidence with every match. Started the year as a bench player. A very good one at that. Has now cemented his place in the starting side. Good push and shove. There's certainly plenty of niggle happening now in this match. The Sedaris away from dummy half. Another 10 metres made for Jim Sedaris. Now 15 out from the line. And they're stretched on the left. Lions inside. Menzies, Ridge. They've opened up for Knights. Ridge. 5 metres out. Matthew Johns is the tackler. On the last, Lions. Now for Tuvey. They ran out of the line. It was Jamie Ainscough. Tuvey tried to grub a kick.
That's one of the things that Jamie Ainscough does a lot in his defensive game. He sprints out of the line, tries to put pressure on the ball runners. It worked that time. I've seen plenty of times when it hasn't, but you just watch this number 4 sprint out of the line to get Tuvey. Now, if Tuvey gets a quick ball away, it's try time for Terry Hill or Jack Elsgood out wide.
I do think he made the right decision that time, Ainscough. If he didn't go up quickly, they had numbers, Manly. It would have just been a simple task of taking advantage of the overlap. But they won't want to be put in that situation too often because 8 times out of 10, Manly will score.
Meantime, last tackle for Newcastle. No dummy half. Jackson gets there. Back for Andrew Johns. Now, this is the last, and Andrew Johns is going to run. Links up with Muir. Now for Ainscough. Ainscough, the left footer. It's chip and chase and Ridge covers up. So Manly back with it. But Newcastle's most promising raid, and now a penalty to the Sea Eagles.
Yeah, Keith Beecham being called out here for a late tackle. Ridge is on the deck. No chance of doing anything, and Keith Beecham came in late. I'm not sure if it was with knees or accidental, but McLean will penalise him.
Well, Terry Hill was claiming an elbow was used. I don't know if that's the case. The replay might show things up. Matthew Ridge makes good ground to get back here. You'll see Beecham come in from the right-hand side. Well, there was a touch of an elbow there. Matthew Ridge not happy, but after throwing out the hand, took a long time to get up.
As you mentioned, there's a bit of niggle creeping in, and I must admit it, at this stage, you'd have to say it's been instigated by the Knights. Sloppy play the ball there from Carroll. Now Gartner to Cunningham.
They look ordinary, don't they, the Knights? They haven't come ready to play today. I don't know what they're out there for.
It's been a woeful start from Newcastle. Misdirected passes, simple drop balls, allowing Manly to offload now. That's the worst sign for them as Jim Sadaris spins out of tackles, takes it over halfway. He is causing havoc.
It's into Newcastle territory. Lions. Now back for Cunningham. Cunningham tries to fend on Jackson. 10 metres inside the Knights half. Sadaris. Lions. Gartner. He's got Tuvey to his left. Butterfield makes the tackle. And it is the last play here for Manly. Matthew Ridge steadies for this centre field bomb. Menzies will lead the chase for Manly. It's a little deep, but Gidley is back for the Newcastle side. Took it in the field of play, then ran back to the in-goal, so play had to continue. The youngster had a look up at the ref just to check.
He's an excellent prospect, Matthew Gidley. We haven't seen a lot of him in the top grade. Tracy takes the ball to the 20-metre line, but every time we've seen him, he looks to be a very confident young player, and I don't think he's made a mistake in all the game time that we have seen.
Only 19 years of age, Matthew Gidley, local product of Newcastle. Now Harrigan. Great tackle low from Tuvey. They have conceded a penalty, but the tackle front on Harrigan was a beauty.
So Stephen Menzies penalised here for interference in the play of the ball. Good tackles pointed out from Andrew from Tuvey. And Steve Menzies just got a hand in the way. It's Butterfield on the charge.
They have to get their game in order. Changes about to be made in the Newcastle side. Peter and Tangata-Toa, the players warming up. This is Jackson, flat pass there. There's Muir, offloads for Gidley. 15 metres out from the Manly line. Play the ball with Glanville, then Jackson. Johns feeds on for Matthew Johns. Johns kicking for Ainscough. Elsgood gets there and forces dead in goal. He was outnumbered, Jack Elsgood, but he got there. 20 minutes gone, we'll take a break. It's 8-0.
Next time they get down to 20, they'll score.
Welcome back to Brookvale. Sea Eagles with the advantage. Right now it's the Knights on the attack. And as close as they've been before the break. Here's Glanville. Just inside the 20. Peter now on for Butterfield. Johns runs a decoy. Matthew Johns working the short side with Muir. An offload. A bit of pressure there on young Gidley. Gartner made the tackle. Ainscough. Matthew Johns. Now Bill Peden gets his first touch. Picked up and driven in that tackle of Menzies. This Manly stonewall defence. Matthew Johns, Andrew Johns now. Shot ball for Harrigan. Carroll was there marking 10 on 10. Last tackle for the Knights, Andrew Johns kicking across field. Ainscough and Beecham are onside, but diffused by Jack Elsgood.
That's better play though from the Knights. They had some purpose in their play. They worked it to one side of the ruck. A short ball to Harrigan. He nearly got through. And this is a set play. They're all scheming out wide, looking for the football, but Elsgood beat them to it. Well done, Jack.
Got some good help there from Terry Hill also coming across. He almost attracted both of the attackers coming through. Got in their way. Made the job just a little bit easier for his wingman.
On the left, Carroll. Johns. Strong tackle. Now Tuvey. Long for Lyons. Lyons skips out a man for Terry Hill. And Hill comes up to Beecham now for Elsgood. Menzies is in support. Elsgood draws the fullback and Menzies is away. Classic rugby league try from the Manly side. And Steve Menzies gets it.
And a great try there. Terry Hill again showing his good speed to get outside Ainscough. He did it on Monday night, on the outside of Peter Jorgensen. He freeze play there. There you can see that Jamie Ainscoe's been slow across. The inside man was Adam Muir, and he couldn't come into the hole there to stop play. There you'll see that there's so much support, and by the time they reacted on the inside, Glanville was there as well. Steve Menzies able to stride away.
Well, you can't afford to give these outside Manly backs any room, and they keep letting Terry Hill get on the outside of them. And Steve Menzies, can't he sniff one out? A try that is. He just backs up right on the inside all day. Beautiful stuff from Menzies. And that's his 12th try of the season, the Beaver.
Yeah, great sight. And he in turn sets his sights on Steve Renoff, who collected a 4-pointer last night. Matthew Ridge, another 2. Steve Menzies, the try scorer. The Sea Eagles lead the Knights by 14 points to 0. Back at Brookvale with Andrew Johns. Sadly for the Newcastle supporters, the news is not good. We've said it's been a terrible start. And what's more, Manly do appear to be warming right to the task. So Manly in possession, and David Gillespie picked up and backslammed in a tackle from Johns and Peden. Now Tierney. So the bench players are on for the Manly side. Sidaris on Kosef. 2 front rows getting a rest for Manly, Cunningham and Carroll. Penalty here to Manly. Well, he worked the penalty, Nick Kosef. He had Marquette on his back.
Yeah, I also think that Nick Kosef milked this one right through because he had a hold of the Newcastle player as well. Marquette tries to get up. You'll see Kosef grab his ankle there. Should not have been a penalty.
Tierney. Inside the Newcastle half. Now Gillespie. Shuffle to his left. And Harrigan there. We've reached the 25-minute mark with Gartner. Taken front on in the tackle of Andrew Tangata-Toa, who, like Andrew Johns, is sporting a new hairdo. Tuvey. An offload for Gillespie. In turn for Sidaris. Inside for Tierney. Standing and passing the Manly players. Sidaris now with Lyons. Kosef. It's been knocked down off Ridge. Picked up there by Muir. Let's knock on. Could be with against Newcastle here. Jackson running through for the intercept.
Yeah, should be no doubt about it. Has gone to Manly the feed. Inside ball from Cliff. And it's knocked down there from Jackson. Cliffy seems to have fallen into a habit the last couple of times I've seen him play of just standing and passing. And maybe age just catching up with him. He's still a fantastic rugby league player. Great brain for football as Kosef goes to the blind finds Innes, but I think he's still got to start running the football, Cliff.
Innes almost put a fend on Tracy there. Only 15 metres out from the line. This is Gartner on for Lyons. Lyons a dummy inside for Menzies. Johns it was around the ankles. In fact, it was Jackson. Sidaris, Tuvey. Their numbers here. Lyons doesn't need the support. Now throws the pass and it's hit the deck.
Oh, and he hits the ground, and he's been listening to Paul Vaughton. As soon as he did run the football through the dummy, nobody expected it. Sliced through. Andrew Johns, a despairing tackle at the end. All he had to do was find a support player. In fact, it was Marquette on the inside. Too far in front of Innes and didn't find more.
Paul Harrigan to the bench. Johns away. Newcastle Knights out of trouble with Tracy. Started his career as a centre, so there shouldn't be too much trouble adjusting, but it's whether he can adjust at this level in first grade against a form backline. And he's really only been a back rower for the past 2 or 3 seasons. Now Muir. He's lost it at the end of that, I thought. And referee McBlain is going to rule there was a hand there.
Yeah, Blocker, I feel that Newcastle forwards, not too many of them willing to put their hands up so far in this match, are they?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Paul. I already mentioned a little bit earlier in the game that there wasn't much talk out there. This is the only bloke that's really put his hand up. Anthony Butterfield probably be leading the charge, although I haven't got the statistics down here. He's the only real one that's putting his hand up to have a go at the Manly forwards.
Yeah, he's come up with 10 tackles and some good charges. That was a very good refereeing decision there. Daniel Gartner, no doubt, got the hand in and forced the ball out as Tanga Tatoa takes a 31 out. But they have been very disappointing so far, Newcastle, in what is such a crucial game for them.
Andrew Johns away for Jackson. Jackson now tries to spread it, and Marquette's out in the centres. His first instinct was to come back infield. He had Grogan and Tracy on his outside. And Tracy is playing on the right wing. So Newcastle 20 metres out from the Manly line. It's the last tackle. Johns for Matthew Johns. Now inside the 20, Matthew Johns, and the defence is alert and just closes it down. Well, what is happening here for the Newcastle Knights?
Well, they took the option of running the football. Maybe the better one might have been the high kick to put pressure on Elsgood once again. But you take these chances, and on that occasion, Manly's defence, which has been fantastic all year, averaging only like something like 7.5, 8 points per match against them, just keeps closing down whatever the opposition is offering. You see Desi Hasler warming up the sideline, about to come on, playing his 251st first grade game today.
Now Lyons to the right with Gillespie, other one of the veterans in the Manly side. This Manly side, of course, unbeaten here at Brookvale this year. As we mentioned earlier, unbeaten here against the Newcastle Knights in 5 previous clashes. Ridge, that kick is a beauty. Right to the corner. Will it find touch, or will it go touch in goal, or will it pull up? We'll go for the third of the choices. And Gidley has to come from back inside his own in goal and doesn't make it. Oh, that is a match-winning play, you could say, from Matthew Ridge.
Oh, what a kick, what a chase, what a tackle. Gidley, what a perfect ball this from Matthew Ridge, deep into the corner. And Gidley there, that's what he's got in front of him. It's a great shot. Terry Hill coming at him. And Menzies, man, he's there as well.
Menzies, man.
Struggling.
Yeah, Menzies.
You can see the look of determination on Terry Hill's face there. He's really finding some form. Of course, he had a shoulder injury weeks ago. That doesn't seem to be a problem at all. His form in the last 2 matches have been outstanding. Hasler's on for Cliff Lyons. And really, if Newcastle allow points here, then the game could be over. We're out of reach well and truly, or very early in this game.
Tierney. 10 metres out from the Newcastle line. Inside the final 10 of the first half. Cossack. Round the legs was Adam Muir. Tracy over the top. Now with a full right to work with Hasler at first receiver. Tuvey. A step and away from 2. Back for Hasler. Only a stumble. Perhaps presented a try. Now Ridge. Last tackle with Gartner. Gartner with a grubber kick. Beecham goes back for it and has to force it dead in goal. Menzies almost got there.
Well, from the naked eye, it looked as though the ball might have gone over the dead ball line before Beecham played at this. Let's just have a look. He misses it the first. Oh, no, he did get a touch. Good decision. And a good kick. It looked as though he'd missed it the first time, but he just got a touch on the fingertips. So more pressure. Andrew Johns really taking his time here, trying to give his team a breather before the restart.
Johns with that line drop out. Jack Elsgood. With the arms of Tanga Tatoa and Beecham. Again, they're Well inside the Newcastle half. Tierney just away from Peden. Peden's coming up with a couple of misses. Worrying sign for one of their better defenders. Now Jim Sedaris. Inside the Knights 20. 2 tries already to the Seagulls in this first half. Gartner.
All right, Knights. Here you go.
Now 10 metres out from the Knights line. Sedaris. Across Tuvey. Hasler. To the arms of Jackson. Butterfield there as well. Last tackle. Seagulls with Kosev. Marquette came quickly out of the line. Back for Matthew Ridge. Ridge tries to get the pass. It's Tierney in support. Oh, the Newcastle defence. Just a breakdown on the last.
They're mainly making so many breaks because they've got these good steppers in there. Their forwards like Kosev and Menzies and Gartner. They can all step. They can run like 3/4. Here's Kosev beating a couple of would-be's. Ridge thought he was going to score. Guess that one looked a bit forward, actually, but Tierney dropped it right at the death.
Well, there was some very good scrambling there from Newcastle after Billy Peden missed the tackle up the middle. Gidley came up with a try saver, so too Matthew Johns. Paul Marquette leaving the field now. And 8 minutes out from half-time, Newcastle would love to put some points on the board. At the moment, they've got to score three times to get in front.
Oh, some nice hands from Newcastle. Forced, really, from a pass which dropped low for Peden. Interesting Hopewadi on for Denny Moore on the left wing. And Peden now with a hit up. 2 halfway. They have used up 5 tackles, the Newcastle Knights. And Andrew Johns, it's come off the head of Tony Butterfield, the kick. Comes up with Matthew Ridge, McLean in position. I thought he was going to rule an accidental offside for the kick into the back of the head. He's played the advantage with Manly, and Hopewadi. Inside Tuvey, away with Tierney. Again, excellent input from Neil Tierney.
My word, that is really soft defence. They just didn't drive in at all there. It's just come here and we'll put you down, you know, nice and soft. That's not the go for a team trying to hold on to their 6th spot on the ladder.
Now Sedaris with Gillespie. On now for Innes. Hopewadi runs inside. Innes away from Grogan. Tracy has to clean up, but this missed tackle count is mounting. Last play here for Manly. And put down by Hasler. And changeover will cut in the way of the Newcastle side. Back with Bill Peden. His tackles tells the story. Jackson, Harrigan, he's lost it. Well, there's barely a Newcastle player out there without a blemish against his name from the first half.
Well, I must go along with Steve Roach. I think the only player out there playing with the intensity required in this game for the Knights is the front rower, Tony Butterfield. Paul Harrigan has made plenty of charges, but he's also come up with a couple of errors. He's looking at the clock, doesn't know what's going on.
How's the defence from down there? Block looks like they wouldn't knock the fuzz off a peach, the Newcastle boys.
Yeah, well, I think you hit it on the head, Paul, a little bit earlier about the steppers in the Manly side. In the wet, you think it slows it down a bit. But if you've got a bit of a jink and a bit of a step, it's sort of hard to put a shot on. And Newcastle, to me, they just don't look interested.
You were always very good in the wet block, that little jink you had.
A little right-footed, Pete, thank you.
Your knee gave way, didn't it?
And Tracy off to the blood bin. That'll force a shuffle because Tracy was playing out in the wing. Landville packs into lock and Tangata out to the centres. And Grogan to the flank. From the scrum, Tuvey. Inside for Hill. Glanville was flat-footed. Hill has gone straight through the tackle. He'll go all the way, Terry Hill. Oh, Tez is in for a try as well. They're lining up for the spoils. Hill beat a tackle, attempted tackle from Adam Muir back near halfway. And it was so easy from there.
It was a very bad miss from Adam Muir, not the kind of tackle you expect from a representative player. And this is the other thing that Manly do so well. They run the angles. That put Mark Glanville on the wrong foot, and then Adam Muir came up with an awful attempt to tackle. Matthew Gidley couldn't come across to stop Terry Hill.
Well, we've got a smash up on our hands here. Terry Hill is in great form of late. He didn't make the New South Wales team, but here he is now blitzing the Newcastle defence.
Really got tangled up, didn't he, Adam Ewell, coming across? You saw the head in the wrong position. It was in front of the body of Terry Hill. A clumsy attempted tackle, but again, a lot of that put down to the fact that the angled runner, Terry Hill, made it very difficult for him to get in the right position to make the tackle. If they've got steppers in their side, they've also got players with great speed who can come back and change the point of attack. They did it so successfully on Monday night, and they're doing it again this afternoon.
Matthew Ridge with a kick, and again successful. This scoreline climbs, and 20-0 now. I think Fatty made a salient point there. Missing out on State of Origin selection, and it was Jamie Ainscoe who got his spot on the bench, Terry Hill. So perhaps a point to prove, and through the tackle of Muir.
But that is one of the simplest plays in the book. I mean, you'll see that happen 30 or 40 times a game. Inside ball. I don't know, maybe I don't want to be too critical of Newcastle, but to come here in the desperate situation they are, they should be playing a lot better than this. Their intensity is lacking.
Small look there from Mark Glanville on the bench. It's Gillespie. Up in the tackle, but by the same token, Manly are doing just the simple things right as well.
Manly are playing great football, and that's why they're 10-9 favourites to win the comp. But I'm disappointed because I'm a Newcastle fan. I think they're a great football side, so much talent there, and they should be doing a little bit better than this.
Sedaris has just wrestled his way from two. Back for Tierney. This time they finish off the tackle. Now Hasler. Oh, that was a flat pass. In fact, called forward to Kosev.
And I'm looking forward to the half-time report from Steve Roach just to find out what Malcolm really has to say to his charges at half-time. Desi Hasler throwing the ball forward to Kosev, one of the rare mistakes that the Manly players have made. And now a final throw of the dice in the first half for the Newcastle Knights as Matthew Johns receives the football. Straight ball to Ainscoe. Beats one. Can't beat the tackle of Ridge.
35 out. And Fletcher is now on for the Knights. Impressive young player, Troy Fletcher. Angadatoa, Ainscoe, now with Butterfield. Butterfield held up in the tackle of Gillespie. Where is the surge going to come from for the Knights as the Johns brothers combine? Andrew pushes on there for Grogan. No trouble at all for Innes. Now 15 metres out from the line. Andrew Johns. Let's have a go on the left. Matthew Johns, Ainscoe. Then wider for Beecham. But one-on-one defence, and Elsgood makes the tackle. And Jackson back for Ainscoe, knocked down last tackle. The kick across field from Gidley has gone backwards. Now batted over the head. They might get a try out of this with Muir. Muir has thrown the ball forward. Well, the Newcastle Knights, the play they've come up with on the last tackle had no rhyme or reason.
No, but as you pointed out, it nearly did pay off, and I can't work out why Brett Grogan came back on the inside. Menzies receives the offload now. Good strong defence there. But you have a look, as the ball's batted over the head here, it creates a 3-on-2 on the far side. Here it goes, over the top. And then you see Brett Grogan come back on the inside instead of staying outside of Hopewate.
Manly survived that run from the Knights, and in fact that brings up the first 40 minutes. And the premiership favourites on the march, Manly. They lead a very disappointing Newcastle Knights side by 20 points to 0. Are they one short?
Yes, they're one player short. Andrew Johns is blowing up. He's standing there with his arms crossed. And now they're waiting for Troy Fletcher to come back out. They got their numbers wrong. They had 12 out there.
So play starts for the second half with Andrew Johns. And they start this half down by 20 points to 0, and Mark Carroll fires up and over the 20 to get the match started for the second 40. Now Sedaris away for Tierney. And Tierney shoulders away from Butterfield. Harrigan was forced to finish off the tackle. Sedaris, no one on his outside, on his right. But no choice but to run it from dummy half. Lights are on here at Brookvale. Lines back for Carroll. Second hit up in 4 for Mark Carroll. Sedaris now with Tierney. Attracting some attention there from Butterfield and Harrigan. 5 tackles up for the Newcastle Knights. Andrew Johns has run out of the line. I dare say he was offside. Not picked up by McBlain, and Lyons with that kick. Not a deep one. Probably his worst kick of the day from Cliff Lyons, but plenty of defence there to trap Beecham on his own 30. So half-time. I'm not sure whether Steve Roach was privy to the address from...
Good shot.
It was a good tackle from Carroll. No surprise it was on Harrigan, but Steve Roach, what was the story at half-time from Mal Reilly as Newcastle?
Well, a contrast in both dressing rooms. Mal Reilly disappointed, to say the least.
Hold the phone there, blocker, as Manly with Ellsgood down the right side. We'll come back to you in a moment, big fella, as Manly on the attack inside the Newcastle 30. Lyons, inside ball for Cunningham. For whatever Mal Reilly said, it certainly wasn't that. Dropped the ball on the second tackle. Manly on the Newcastle 20. Sedaris with Lyons. Now Tuvey. Tierney on his left. Tuvey ducks away from one and spinning his way through the Newcastle defence. Sedaris from dummy half. Makes another 10 metres. Tangata-Toa finished off the tackle. Now the Seagulls. Ridge and Tuvey. Along for Lyons. Lyons, he's keeping them guessing. Cunningham out in the centres. Able to offload for Terry Hill. But Terry Hill was going nowhere. And even under that sort of tackle, he was still talking Terry Hill. Ellsgood, Lyons. It comes across for Ridge on the last. The grubber kick, is it going to be too deep? It is. Now we can catch our breath. Steve Roach, what was that halftime story?
Well, he's not very happy, Malcolm, really. He accused his football team of being soft in defence. He said, you've got to stop the offloads, letting Manly pass the football far too much, shorten their passing game, and will someone please put their hand up and take the ball forward? It was a pretty scathing attack from Malcolm really at half-time, as you could well imagine. Manly, all Bob Fulton said was stay awake with the Johns kicking game. He kicks back on the inside, so they stay alert on the inside at all time. He talked about keeping them to nil. He doesn't want them to score any points in the second half and just control the football.
I hope Optus pay your bill, blocker, because you do get to hold the phone a lot.
Oh, it's embarrassing, isn't it, really?
You'd be pleased, blocker, that the rain has worsened.
Yes, mate. Mate, I don't care. I'm enjoying this clash. Thank you.
Andrew Johns, just thinking about the rain, the dye might run out of his hair, as there's Grogan with the kick. Ridge will get across to cover this one up, and in fact he may have the liberty to let go dead. No, Matthew Ridge, back he comes. Well, he's fooled them all, Matthew Ridge. Oh, he is a miracle worker.
Well, he's brought it back 30 or 20 metres, 30 from where he came from, but the Newcastle players are claiming that John Hopewate gave him a big help by pushing a couple out of the way. Let's just have a look. Two chases going down. Hopewate is the only man back there with Matthew Ridge. He did give a little bit of a nudge to the number 14, and I think it probably should have gone against Manly there.
So Sedaris with Carroll. Oh, Carroll has just ricocheted away from Muir. They're trying to get the big hit on Mark Carroll. It's just not coming off. Now Kosef offloading. Hill, quick hands. Ellsgood just ankle tapped by Beecham. Manly still in possession, and now the last tackle. In fact, Newcastle back with it. Ellsgood was almost away. And it's with Fletcher for the Knights. Offloading. They skip our Tangata-Toa now with Andrew Johns. Johns. It's a piggyback from Jeff Tuvey. Tangata-Toa. It's been linked with St George for 1997. Well, he's lost that cold, Andrew Tangata-Toa, in playing the football.
I just looked into the Manly den next door. Bob Fulton was pretty happy with things at half-time. He just thinks they're rolling on quite nicely. Frank Stanton, the chief executive, disappointed in the crowd today. Claims that Manly fans have never ever come to Saturday games. They won't come out. But that's the way it goes. You probably sit inside on a rainy day like
Here's Tuvey from
look
the
at
scrum
this.
base. Away from Tangata-Toa. And the little number 7 from Manly has strolled 55 metres to score.
Oh, he's a great little player, isn't he? I don't mean to be disrespectful and calling him little. He doesn't stand that tall, apart from what he can do on the football field. Matthew Johns went up too quickly on the outside. He was more concerned about Cliff Lyons, and Tangata-Toa just didn't have the speed to go across and cover him on the inside. So a real lapse in defence there, but just brilliant acceleration by the little half.
Well, Frank won't care how many people are here, but they'll the ones that are here saw a great Manly try to Jeff Tuvey. We've seen him do this plenty of times. He's got the good pace off the mark over the first 10, and he carried on, but Tangata was hundreds.
We've seen it a lot in the last couple of games where players are more concerned with who they think they should be marking instead of being awake to what is actually going on. Matthew Johns there, he was only looking at Cliff Lyons. We saw it last night as well in the Brisbane game and last week, where players have really got to be more concerned where the football is.
We'll take a break. That scoreline, 26-0 to the Sea Eagles. Back with the action. Now 4 tries to nil, and 26-0 the score. Matthew Ridge, he's trying to link up with Carroll. Now he does it. It's not quite how it's meant to work, but all the same, Carroll got back to the 20. So Manly have picked up in this second half where they left off. And unfortunately, so too have Newcastle. Kosev. Put down by Butterfield. Now Sidaris to get over the top of Butterfield from dummy half, but again Sidaris, he's added so much to this Manly side when he's in good form. And now they just stride through Tierney again. Oh, the alarm bells are ringing. You could hear them back in Newcastle right now. Ridge kicking on the last for Manly. And finding some space, Gidley has to cover. And back will come Matthew Gidley. That Manly defence led by Tuvey. And Gidley's lost it this time. Is Elsgood penalised? He is. I wonder whether Gidley was losing control of the football in any case. The Newcastle Knights on halfway. Butterfield taking in the tackle of Tierney, who's just revelling in these conditions now. In the gloom of Brookvale. Harrigan, a line break for the Knights. And Ridge was called up to make the last line of defence. Now Jackson, Andrew Johns, Matthew Johns. Tangata on his inside, Muir on the outside, drops the pass behind. And Matthew has to pick up the scraps. Just outside the 20. Tangata at first receiver, but standing flat-footed. Now Andrew Johns. Pushes along over the shoulder of Ainscough. The machine that is Newcastle has broken down. And they're 30 metres out from the Manly line. Tangata, a dummy to Fletcher. Picked up, loses the ball back now. Jackson, Matthew Johns. In the end, it wasn't a bad pass actually from Tangata. Tuvey covers up this time for Manly. And any hope of points again is snuffed out by the Manly cover.
It's very easy to be critical of sides that have been beaten by Manly in recent weeks, but probably what we're not doing is giving Manly the credit they deserve in forcing those kind of performances by their opponents. And one thing, it's very difficult on a football field not to become frustrated when you can't find a hole in defence. You start to push the play, you start to do things that you haven't worked for on the training paddock. And although Newcastle haven't played well this afternoon, in a lot of ways it just comes because they can't find anything out there to work for them.
No, they look up, Pete, in this Manly defensive line. There's nowhere to go.
Andrew Johns working for Ainscough from this scrum. And Ainscough, certainly no sign of a step. He just ran straight at Innes, who accommodated in the tackle. Now Butterfield.
And that's why the performance on Monday night against the Roosters was so good, because the Roosters did not play that badly.
Andrew Johns then throws the pass for Harrigan. Harrigan offloaded. Now a chance for the Knights. Andrew Johns. They go for the line and get there. Cliff Lyons unsuccessful in holding up Matthew Johns. And Newcastle have their first 4-pointer.
Well, there's the first chink we've seen for a long time in the Manly defence. A good offload from Paul Harrigan. Give him the credit for this one. Hits the line hard and strong. The Johns boys, they put this on. Cliffy just hung off Matthew Johns for a fraction, and eventually Matthew Johns got the football down.
Yeah, we said in the last couple of weeks that Paul Harrigan looks to be a far better player with his new desire to offload there. And Andrew Johns, it was important that he did go to the line to keep Cliff Lyons back there, and just too much strength for Matthew Johns, who had the momentum. A little bit of a struggle to get the ball down.
Andrew Johns, 104 points for the season. He just kicked 15 metres out. And the 2 points, much needed for Newcastle, but it's some sort of start they've given. Tony Butterfield on the bench.
It all came through the Manly mistake when Sedaris was ruled to have knocked on. You can't afford to make mistakes in your own danger area of being 30 metres out in this modern game. And is this the start of a Newcastle resurgence? Or can Manly snuff it out?
Seagulls with Ridge. Newcastle Knights. Certainly not their happiest day, but maybe things about to change. 26-6. Fletcher, it was from the kickoff. Now Jackson, Tangata-Toa. It's been a reserve grade side for a number of seasons. A successful reserve grade side in terms of grand final appearances. And now that was a ungamely looking play the ball. Andrew Johns trying to weave some magic for Matthew Johns, and a step. Got past Cliff Lyons and has passed off the ground for Grogan. Play on, says McBlain.
That's okay, he wasn't held.
Halfway line is now Peden. Last tackle with Newcastle. Grogan, across for Andrew Johns. Kicking the centre field bomb. Matthew Ridge caught into the action. He's there and takes it so well, and Matthew Ridge in the wet conditions. There's no panic there at all. And now Elsgood. That's a wonderful take from Ridge.
You see the good takers of the high ball in this game. They get such good body position. Reserve grade taken out by Manly in a close one, and a low-scoring game, 6-4. But there, Matthew Ridge, he had the body turned to the side. He had the shoulder between where the ball was coming down and the chasers. And invariably, those who are good in taking the high ones get superior body position to anybody else coming through.
Sedaris away for Ridge. Now that kick is a spiralling punt from Matthew Ridge, and Gidley gets there on the fly. So he's inside his own 20, now edging up to the 30, and Carroll over the top. Makes that tackle count on Matthew Gidley, who still probably hasn't had a bad game, Matthew Gidley.
I think he's got a big future, Matthew Gidley. So too Troy Fletcher. They're good young players that have been brought along by Malcolm, really.
Menzies drives in on the tackle on Jackson. It's come back the way of Ainscough. He's restarted the tackle count, and Ainsco's behind every one of his teammates. Now gets away from two. Got past both Carroll and also Kosef. They're 30 out from their own line. Andrew Johns throws that past Grogan. Innes equal in defence. A few mistakes come in the game of Craig Innes. Now Tangata-Toa lifted a knee there as he got close to Sedaris. Now Matthew Johns on for Muir. Muir standing back for Matthew Johns. It's come down for Marquette, and he's lost it. Paul Marquette, a handling error inside Manly territory.
Andrew pointed out a raised knee coming in there, and it was the case. The right leg thrown out. No problems for Jim Sedaris, but probably something that Andrew Tangata-Toa needs to look at in his running style.
Now Terry Hill. Bumping run. Tangata-Toa and Matthew Johns, the tacklers. Lions for Kosef.
Block with John Hopewate out there. Danny Moore left the game fairly early. A problem at all?
Yeah, calf muscle injury to Danny Moore. He won't be back today.
And then Sedaris was able to make 10 metres, that time down the blind. Tuvey, Tierney. Tierney standing back. Quick hands from Kosef. Good work. Menzies now with Terry Hill. Ainscough was there. And a wrestling tackle. Could play the ball from Hill though. Hill's good. Menzies searching for a hole in the centre of the ruck that time. On the 20-metre line. Last tackle with Manly. Matthew Ridge just steadies for that bomb. Gidley is under pressure. Lyons coming through. Oh, it's come off the shoulder of a Newcastle player. Was it Bill Peden? Has he gone to the wing, Bill Peden?
It was Billy Peden, all right. He and Matthew Gidley got in all sorts of trouble. They're in each other's way. And the ball just flew straight back to Matthew Ridge. Now a penalty has been awarded to Manly, and it'll be another gift 2 points to their fullback.
Yeah, they don't never knock them back. The Manly side, they love those 2-pointers. Like some other teams, which like to keep the pressure on and go for the 6-pointers.
Well, it was a flying header from Billy Peden. In those situations, there's got to be a call. Somebody has got to say mine, and the other player gets in front of him to work as a bit of a shepherd.
Peden has since been replaced. Owen Craigie is out there now. Australian schoolboy, 3 years running. Matthew Ridge has converted yet again. Manly right on top, 28-6 here at Brookvale. Restart again with Andrew Johns, and he is kicked out on the full. Well, the full gamut of errors from the Newcastle side we're seeing. So much frustration from the Newcastle side. One kick in general play out on the full, and that one from the kickoff. That's the reaction of Andrew Johns. So a penalty from the restart to the Manly side. They're in no hurry. They're leading by 28-6. I dare say that will change before full time. Here's Gillespie from the restart. He's able to offload. Back for Tuvey. Nice here with Kosef, Menzies. Manly looking sharp. Now 30 metres out from the Newcastle line. And forwards have shifted to the right side of the ruck, Sedaris. One of those players is Tierney, and Tierney takes them on, as he's done on numerous occasions in this match, and getting plenty of game time as well. Tuvey, Lyons into the play is Ridge, a left footer here for Innes. Innes gets the bounce and has lost the ball. Craig Innes picked up by the touch judge. Scrum feed to Newcastle.
Beautiful kick, left-footed, just rolled through for Craig Innes. What they do on the fringe of the penalty area in soccer, putting it through for one of the players going through, and it was Innes on the fly, but unfortunately the crunch of the tackle forced the ball out.
Exasperated cry came from the scrum there. I'm not quite sure from who. Now Matthew Johns for Grogan. Half juggle when he got that ball.
Number 21 for Newcastle is Owen Craigie.
Away, Peden is back out there. Newcastle side inside their own 20. Now with Muir. Picked up by Sedaris, and Gillespie there. Hasler on standby again. Long for Andrew Johns. Grogan has lost it. He had a look, and Hopewadi is back with the ball for Manly, and he puts out a fend on Andrew Johns. Two World Cup teammates from last year. This is Tierney. Oh, good tackle from Newcastle. Tangata and Butterfield. Sedaris. The chip away at the blind. Gillespie. Quick hands there for Menzies. At least in this passage, they're finishing off their tackles, Newcastle. Lyons. Kosef. The time it was Marquette around the legs. Sedaris takes off from dummy half again. Stands in the Muir tackle, and intercept comes the way for the Knights.
And Matthew Johns getting up there to take the intercept from the pass from Jim Sedaris, but again it was very poor dummy half work from Andrew Johns and Lee Jackson, both going the same way. It allowed Sedaris to find an easy 6 or 7 metres. This time Butterfield, he earned 6 or 7 with a tough run.
Andrew Johns across for Matthew, and now Muir. He got a handle on that ball very late. Almost slipped to his side. Matthew Johns wants the short side, kicks over the top. Where is the Manly line? It bounced well for Matthew Johns and then lost it in passing. Or, however, McBlain has said a tackle count restarting. Matthew Johns has been left behind in back play. It comes for Jackson. Now Andrew Johns. Andrew Johns straightens up the attack. Hasler is there to make the tackle, along with Owen Cunningham. That's Matthew Johns in trouble. But Newcastle inside the Manly 20 with Marquette. Still attacking. Gidley has lost it behind him. I don't think that was a flick pass. This is the tackle on Adam Muir. Andrew Johns. Lee Jackson. Lee Jackson doesn't find himself a dummy half. Knocked down after the grubber kick early in the tackle count.
Well, that's only on the third tackle. That's a very poor play, poor choice of play there from Lee Jackson. Matthew Johns is still crook. He copped a heavy knock. And
well, hello.
A stink.
Well, this tackle, it was a strong tackle on Cliff Lyons, I think from Butterfield. There was a bit of push and shove to start, and a few lefts and rights. And Cliff Lyons finds it all tremendously funny. The initial exchange, I thought, was with Butterfield and Lyons.
Lee Jackson really presented the football to Manly on that occasion. The only way it would have been a good play is if he'd picked it up and scored. Plenty of players looking to get involved here. More a wrestling match than anything else. No harm done. Might have been Adam Muir at the bottom of that. And Manly will get the penalty.
Now the Manly side with Carroll. Ross Gillespie. Not too many days where we've had wet weather football called for, but Manly now going for the slog, you could say. Hasn't ceased the rain since kickoff, but certainly heavier since half-time. Sidaris, Carroll. Carroll on the Manly 40. Now Hasler. Hasler standing away there from Peden. A set of 6, they've worked their way to halfway, and then the ridge kick on the end of that. Now the chase. Gidley almost back to his own goal line. Ellsgood and Hill the chasers, and they make the tackle. The Knights, the sting has long gone out of their performance. Now Andrew Johns. Cross, Matthew Johns. 30 out from their own line. This is Marquette. A few handling problems today. He hasn't been alone. Jackson with Tangata-Toa. Well, that was the goose step, well short of the line. What's that about, Andrew Tangata-Toa? He's put on the step a good 5 metres before the defensive line. Andrew Johns, that kick has gone dead in goal, touch in goal, so we'll come back to the 20. All frustration of Andrew Johns. Well, that's sensational. That's terrific from Andrew Tangata-Toa. Now Jack Ellsgood back for the Manly side.
And Manly 2 competition points closer to that minor premiership. Led by 4 coming into round 17. They'll maintain that lead as they leave. Round 17, a tremendous set of statistics there against 127 against. That's just unbelievable after this many rounds of football. And they do have a fairly comfortable run home. Cronulla, Tigers, Penrith, Wests and Souths. They will win the majority of those games, if not all. Different story for Newcastle. Illawarra, Parramatta, Sydney City, Reds and Cronulla. And they have got a lot of clubs sitting right behind them on the premiership ladder coming into this round. They may well be leapfrogged by plenty of them.
Manly just working that kick again to Beecham's corner. And Gidley was the man who got across, but the chase has been there every time, and Newcastle start each set of 6 from inside their 20. And they've lost it there. Was it reefed out by Hasler? There's no call from the ref. McBlain, and he's ruled the knock-on against Newcastle. Right in front of their own sticks. On tackle number 2.
Well, it looks like all the boys out there just waiting for the game to finish. They can't wait for the full-time whistle to go. Get off and have a nice hot shower.
And Manly, they probably have showed a red to score from the scrum. Lions pushes on there for Hill. Hill, he gets away from one. And that man was Ainscough. 5 metres out from the Newcastle line. Elsgood. Now Tuvey. Tuvey comes to a complete stop. Tingatatoa makes the tackle on the Knights 10. Sidaris with Hasler. Hasler for Kosev. Kosev, Gillespie. Gillespie back for Kosev. Now again 10 metres out. Inside for Innes. Put down by Jackson. Had to come across to make the tackle. Sidaris, a dummy. Sidaris pushes back there for Innes. It's like a rolling maul from the Manly side. Little dangerous to tackle. This will be a penalty against Grogan. Picking up in a lifting motion in that tackle from Grogan.
And then driving at the end of it. And that's the dangerous part. Getting a description there from Paul McBlain as to why he's being penalised, exact nature. And they are odds on to score in this set of 6. Sidaris taps, throws the dummy, and a nothing play to start off this passage of play.
Hasler is there. It was a slow play the ball from Sidaris. Lions, Menzies. Menzies, now they channel inside again with Kosev. At the end of that was taken just a little high, but he was falling, Kosev. Sidaris, Gillespie, inside ball, well handled by Hasler. Collared by Jackson. Still 10 out. Ridge, a one-hander with Lyons. Lyons kicking. Now the chase is there for Menzies, but the ball bounced up for Beecham. The next best thing was a tackle in goal, and that's what Menzies has done.
Well handled there from Keith Beecham. Cliffy trying something different. They haven't put in too many grubbers today. They tried a couple on Monday night, which didn't work. So here's the tackle. And Cliff on the end of that set there of 6 puts that kick in.
Elsgood. 30 out from the Knights line. Almost lost there. It was Carroll. The Seagulls, Gillespie. A little over 20 metres out from the Newcastle line. Sidaris. They work a ruck play. Kosev, Menzies putting it down, and the gap was there. Lee Jackson was on the deck.
Do run some nice set plays around the ruck area. Good ball back inside, nearly split them up the middle again. And what you're trying to do with those plays is to split the markers. And I've done that successfully on a couple of occasions. A little bit of concern out there for Matthew Ridge. The trainer's been out there a couple of times in the last minute or so, and he is limping across in cover defence. Really, with this scoreline, you'd think he'd be a player that you'd want to get off, get him in the sheds, and get him ready for what's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Tingatatoa with it. Incredibly Manly, just looking at the stats right now, 12 points in their last, well, it's up to 230 minutes. They've scored in that time 108 points. It's a very impressive statistic. Jackson, that pass has evaded Matthew Johns. He cleans up. Lions finished off the tackle, but the Newcastle Knights, look, they're stalled right now. They're in first gear. The clutch is out. And there is nothing doing in the Knights line. Andrew Johns tries to start it now with Ainscough. Well, he has started it. The ball comes for Hopewadi off his knee. Then back for Andrew Johns. Tackle count restarts now with Fletcher. A penalty here to the Newcastle Knights, 35 metres out. What is he calling out? He's calling out a Newcastle player. The back chat, I think, from Butterfield, perhaps. In fact, Butterfield in his role as captain, it's against Ainscough. That caution, but the penalty had gone to Newcastle. since their last penalty. So the Knights, here they come, Butterfield. 10 metres out from the Manly line. Jackson, Harrigan. Sedaris and Carroll made the tackle. Now Andrew Johns. Jinking there. Tanganatoa. There's a gap for just a moment on the left. Back for Fletcher. Manly defence to stand this challenge from Newcastle. Well, they will this time. Menzies now for Lions. Lions away from Grogan. Back inside for Innes. And even in these conditions, a quick turnover for the Manly side. They were prepared to attack. Hasler. Now Sedaris. Tuvey. He'll have to pass a long way to link up with Hill.
Well, we've given Andrew Johns a lot of raps over this season and last, but this is a game you prefer to forget. A shocking pass to Matthew Johns in that last set of 6 for the Knights. As Andrew pointed out, Manly, they were on the attack straight away.
Lions now Tuvey, Menzies. Andrew Johns got across in defence that time. Now Tuvey for Kosef. Kosef able to offload, back for Hasler. Andrew Johns was there. Last tackle with the Manly side. Lions dummied the kick, then Gillespie, and he's ruled that pass forward from Lions to Gillespie, so this will be a changeover. Newcastle in possession. Harrigan is
So
back out there.
What are we looking at now? One from their last 7, one win from their last 7. They've got some teams to play like Parramatta, Cronulla, the Roosters. I mean, they're going to miss out on the top 8. And you wouldn't have thought that 7 weeks ago when they were on 17 points.
A good ball here from Tanganatoa to Gidley. 1 win in the draw. Point out only 3 points from 12 available. Now it'll be 3 from 14. They go wide.
Well, there's a chance here for the Knights. Matthew Johns for Ainscough. At least they're moving. Grogan tackled by Lions. 15 out from the Manly line. Ainscough goes himself with a grubber. Hopewade through the legs. He tries to cover up. Was that a try to Ainscough? In-goal judge says yes, does he? Ainscough was claiming the try. Now consultation. Stand by for the decision. Back to the line dropout. Well, Manly have forced it. An anxious moment. Will take a break at 28-6. Welcome back to Brookvale. Now 7 minutes out from full time. 28-6 though. Tanganatoa for the Knights. A little offload. Newcastle mount another attack. Ainscough away for Beecham. Almost through the tackle. He's carrying 3 defenders. Keith Beecham. The Knights have a chance for points. Jackson. Oh, terrible pass. Slipped out of their hands. Harrigan. Taken front on there by Tierney. Still 5 metres out from the line. Well, it was played forward at first attempt, then raked back by Harrigan. Allowed to continue. Matthew Johns. Then for Grogan.
And go Manly.
Innes some more strong defence from this Manly centre. Former All Black. Matthew Johns. The kick. The chase is there for Matthew Johns and he scores. The 5/8 for Newcastle has got his second try. And that's one of the rare highlights in this match for the Novocastrians.
And as soon as Matthew Johns caught the football, he knew exactly what he was going to do with it. He'd had a look to see where the second line of defence was. This was the try that was ruled to have been nullified by Jim Sedaris. A line dropout resulted from that. Jamie Ainscough felt hard done by. They've got the try. A couple of rucks later, Matthew Ridge was over near the posts. Matthew Johns, downward pressure, beautiful individual play, caught the Manly side completely by surprise.
He's trying very hard today, Matthew Johns, in a badly beaten side. His brother trying to convert.
That's the kick from Andrew Johns. It is successful. So that is bright news. The points, 28-12. 4 minutes out from full time. Blocker in a moment. I think there's some bad news on Mark Landville. Here's the effort of Matthew Johns again. No doubts he forced the ball. So a fair try, his second for Matthew Johns, but Steve Roach, the story on Mark Glanville.
Yes, he's been taken to hospital for precautionary x-rays on a neck injury.
On this wet day, crowd just over the 7,000 mark, 7,228, fine conditions. I'm sure we would have been looking up around 15,000. There's a kick from Matthew Ridge, the restart. Tuvey got a bit of a head start. Now Troy Fletcher. Jackson. And now with Peden. Standing for Tangata-Toa. Inside. With Beecham.
And in 17 games now in season 96, that's only the fourth time that Manly have had 12 points scored against them, 12 or more.
Go along for Andrew Johns. Brings Matthew into the play again. Harrigan wide. Lyons, that was a good tackle from Cliff Lyons. He is hurt after that, Cliffy Lyons. It's his arm that's causing him a problem. Ainscough. Trainer still with Cliffy Lyons. He's jogging back to the line as Newcastle on the last tackle. Andrew Johns. They try their luck with a short kick again, and Menzies. It was a difficult ball to cover. But he did well, Steve Menzies. Now Cunningham. Five out from their own line. Tierney. It's not an area they haven't outpointed the Newcastle side in today, the Manly side. Here's Kosev.
I suppose the one positive thing is that the Newcastle have outscored Manly in the second half to the tune of 12 points to 8. I think it's a case of Manly might have done a bit of relaxing.
I think you're starting out one of those 0055 numbers tonight, are you, Fatty, with that voice? Call me now.
That'll do, mate.
I've been working very hard, Andrew.
Now Peden. 30 out from their own line. And the Newcastle Knights side now going through the motions as Ainscough with that kick, and Tierney gets a chance. There's a wall of shins in the Manly line. Bounced off 3 of them. Now Sidaris. Tuvey. Lions back for Kosev. Sort of driving defence wasn't apparent early on. Well, he's passed after being held. It was obviously said simultaneous with his call.
Well, if they're still driving him back in defence, I feel as though he should have every right to pass the football.
Perhaps one last chance for Newcastle to post points. Matthew Johns. Then for Grogan. And Terry Hill. Faultless game from Terry Hill today. Tangata-Toa. Not be far off a spot in the starting side.
He's played pretty well, Tangata-Toa, since he's come on in the first half. He's got the snow white hair and he's taken it to them.
And Matthew Johns. For Andrew Johns. Oh, great take. Andrew Johns just pulled it in with a left hand. In these conditions, made it look very easy. Matthew Johns, the flick pass for Peden. Peden stands in the tackle of Tuvey, then Harrigan. Harrigan able to offload. That's come off the hand of Peden. It won't matter. Manly are back in possession. And the full-time siren has put the Newcastle Knights out of their misery. Favourites for the premiership, Manly collect another 2 points in the Optus Cup. 28 points to 12 the score.